It looks like a car just drove into the side of my gingerbread house, and that might be the exact direction that I go with this craft. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen, and in today's video, I am expanding on my gingerbread house collection. Sorta. See, here's the thing. My plan for this video was to use the air dry clay that I had tested out in my silicone molds a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to press that into my gingerbread mold so I could make a duplicate of the same house that I made last year. But that clay is funky stuff, so I really wanted to test it against a different kind of clay to see the real difference. So I bought another type of air dry clay and I started with that. And that, my friends, was the beginning of my downfall. If you like DIY projects videos, then feel free to subscribe right down below. And if you like horrible DIY fail videos, then give this one a thumbs up. That's also down below. Now, let's just go on this whole journey together because in 2020, this isn't the gingerbread house that we wanted, but it's definitely the gingerbread house we should have expected. I gave this Crayola Air Dry Clay a whirl because it was pretty highly rated on Amazon. I'll leave links down in the description to this and any of the materials and supplies that I use in this DIY. That's like actual clay. Pretty much what I would have expected air dry clay to feel like. I realized I didn't have any clay tools other than the plastic ones that came with the other clay. Most people would have turned back at that moment, but not me. I just grabbed whatever I had on hand to give me a little help. Like dental floss, which actually worked like a dream. Even though my mold slid around a bit, the floss could stay flat and taut enough that it scraped off the excess clay like a knife through butter. I repeated this process 2 more times and made sure the filled sections were somewhat distant from each other. I thought that if I moved them around in the mold too much, I could damage the look. Hindsight. I let the first round of pieces dry for a few hours, then repeated all of the steps with the last 3 pieces. You can see here I pressed the door on the first round, and you can also see some less than ideal areas on the face of most of the pieces I already demolded. But I just kept going like there was nothing wrong. All I can say is, hashtag still living in denial. Okay guys, so here's the deal. Some of these pieces might look great on camera because you're under my ring light and you may not be able to tell, but I'm gonna show you the real deal of what happened. First of all, you can see I probably should have used a mold release because there's all kinds of crap on every single little nugget and nook and cranny in these silicone molds. Secondly, because of the type of clay that it is, because it has more of like a texture to it, it was really hard to push it down into areas like this, where then the mold doesn't hit all the way to the ground. Or the surface, I should say, because this would stretch out on the side and then I'd have to push it back, which then caused it to lift up from the inside, which you can see the evidence of in all of these areas where the clay just didn't push into the mold. This is another really good example of that. It looks like a car just drove into the side of my gingerbread house, and that might be the exact direction that I go with this craft. The other thing that kind of sucked, but every single piece except for I think 2 cracked. Yeah, this one cracked. This one on the back is cracked. It just hasn't completely come apart yet. This one cracked in a few places. We're gonna flip all of them over. I think this is the only one that didn't actually crack. One good thing that I will say about this clay, it may not work terrifically if you put it in something like a silicone mold, but when you're just shaping stuff, like my little snowman hat came out adorable, it worked great, and it's in terrific shape. So I decided to try to glue up all the cracks and breaks on all the pieces. Only 2 didn't have some kind of cracking or breaking on the back, or the front. The Aleene's Clear Gel Tacky Glue worked good for this, but things just didn't look right. Because I was still swimming in the sea of denial. But I couldn't admit that yet, so I left everything to dry for a couple of hours and then came back to hot glue it together. Actually, let me rephrase that, to try to hot glue everything together. Friends, this is the moment where I almost lost it. Seriously. Many curse words flew out of my mouth. Words I barely even knew existed because I'd already spent so much time on this and I really, really didn't want to abandon it entirely. I wanted it to work out, but something about this whole thing reeked of 2020. I mean, yeah, okay. So after my hot glue debacle, I had to rethink this entire project. I actually stepped away for a few minutes and just talked it out with Matt. Remember when I said this earlier?
There, it looks like a car just drove into the side of my gingerbread house, and that might be the exact direction that I go with this craft.
Let's just say I decided to lean into that idea. Fully lean in. Let the post-apocalyptic gingerbread house building begin. Thanks, 2020. And this is where all my hours of watching YouTube diorama videos might just start to pay off. After my chat with Matt, I get a few pieces started, so I get to dry fitting everything on a cardboard base. I put a coat of acrylic craft paint on all of the pieces. I added some dry brushing to the fence and mailbox to weather and age the pieces. Some things get a second coat of paint, and I finalized making all the accessories I'd need out of paper, clay, and wood while the paint dried. I used Mod Podge and some ripped up pieces of craft paper to add rigidity to the base. I don't need it to be perfect, but it does need to hold up the weight of the house and other accessories. I started with the Mod Podge at full strength, but it got too gloopy too fast, so I added some water and it spread out much better. It was about a 2-to-1 ratio of Podge to water. Once the whole box was coated, top, sides, and underneath, I set it to dry and worked on painting the house. And I apologize, but I didn't get any of that on camera. But I did get some up-close shots of me painting some of the accessories. I added 2 coats of poop brown to the base, the perfect color to complement this monstrosity. I started gluing things down. And I grabbed some dried leaves, sticks, and rocks from out in the yard to use as ground cover. Then I started gluing every leaf and twig to the surface using a 1-to-1 mix of Mod Podge to water and an eyedropper so I'd be sure to hit only the places where I wanted the glue to go. While the base dried, I added some final finishing touches. I wanted to really drive home the joy that this year has been. And with those bits done, this piece of 2020 was complete. So right away, I just want to apologize for missing out on recording so much footage for this video. Putting this together took me the better part of 4 full days, and honestly, I just flaked. And because this wasn't the original plan, my original shot list went right out the window. But I gotta say, I loved doing this 2020 gingerbread house diorama. So if you like this type of DIY fail video, or if you just like seeing a diorama come to life, leave me a comment below and let me know, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you made it this far into the video, just go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Pick all in the bell menu and join our fun time party. Oh, and by the way, if you want to read my little headline news stories on the newspapers that I put out on the front stoop, you should definitely come over and follow us on Instagram, because that's where I post all of the behind the scenes stuff. I will drop a link down in the description below. Like I said at the start, it's not what I planned, but it is the gingerbread house I should have expected in 2020. But I also like turning crap into something that comes out kinda cool, so guess that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Later, peeps! Duplicate, another, they're the same word, right? I'm just fancy now. Is that shaking? Maybe not, maybe it's just me. I guess that's okay. Am I blurry? What does this video say? It says, holy this year was a cluster. That's what this video says. Also right down below, nope, I almost choked. Let's not do that one. Whatever, this could be a complete and utter disaster where nothing's gonna work to make it better no matter what I do. That's much more likely what's gonna happen here, because this is me and this is how, yeah, there it is. Just waited for that to happen. Okay, leave me, wait, Good enough. Again, why do I do this? Good enough. We're done.